How to work best with your ad agency and your creative team. I've been working in advertising in the LA market. I'm new here to Vietnam. Been working in it for the past decade and a half, so I just decided to come and speak to you all about 5 basic tips to help work with your ad agency and your creative teams. So agencies are inherently inherently creatively inspired, right? It's like an airplane is built to fly, ships are built to sail. Agencies are meant to create, although some are better than others. Say again? Can't hear? Okay, sorry. So how do you get the most out of your agency? And how do you best work with the agency, right? And the key is, I think, for many clients is to be a catalyst for inspiration, right? Don't be that roadblock. Don't be that client that comes and demotivates your agency to work, right? So be an enabler. Be a catalyst for that inspiration, right? So how do you do that, you ask? Right? It's no secret that agencies are inspired and motivated to sell their work, right? But to get the best work, to get the work that the agencies are proud to talk about and work on, to get the work that the brands are happy to hang their hat on, to ultimately get the work that people talk about around the water cooler, right? It requires participation on the client's part, right? To be a co-builder, if you will, an empower and to motivate the agency to continue to work, right? It requires an effort to build a trusting relationship, to build cooperation, and for understanding and trust. Sorry, need to calm down for a second. All right, so I'm going to talk about a few tips on how to do that, on how to keep your agency inspired. Right? And some of these things, for this audience, I'm sure is pretty basic, pretty intuitive, but it doesn't hurt to talk about them again, because all too often these things don't happen, right? And all too often these things are overlooked and result in strained relationships with the agency, and result in work that frankly could have been better, right? So 5 tips for working with your ad agency partners. All right. First one is brief on the problem, not the solution. Before moving here, I was in LA. One of my clients was a global sporting goods company, a 100-year-old sporting goods company. You might have heard of them, Wilson Sporting Goods. They make tennis rackets, footballs, basketballs for some of the most avid athletes out there in the world. They came to my agency, they came to me and said, hey, can you help us build or create a TV campaign so we can combat the likeness of Nikes and the Under Armours, and to make us cool again, right? As the agency, we walked away and realized that this is Wilson. Even though they've been around for 100 years, they're trying to battle the Nikes and the Under Armours of the world, right? Unless they had hundreds of $millions to spend in the next decade to try to put a dent in this, it's not going to happen. So we walked away with our team, and even though they came with a solution, they were cool enough, they were good enough clients to understand that if we came back and rephrased the problem for them and helped them understand what the problem was, that they were open to a different solution. So what we did was we talked to them about product innovation. We gave them an innovation story to hang their hat on, right? Right now, Wilson makes some of the best sporting equipment, like I said, footballs, basketballs, tennis rackets. Some of the best equipment in the world are Wilson equipment. It didn't have much in the digital space by any means. So we came to them and we triangulated 3 different points. One being the fact that they make these really good sporting equipment. 2 is we capitalized on the insight of the quantified self movement. Everyone's tracking everything nowadays, from eating to sleeping to walking. And 3rd is their need to innovate. So we talked to them, worked with their R&D team, and we worked with them to create a digitally connected basketball. It's called the Wilson X basketball. Basically what it was just a small accelerometer inside of a ball that basically tracked all your shots, made and missed. It knew when the ball left your hand. It knew when you made a basket and missed a basket. It's revolutionary, beyond its years. It took about a year to develop with them, but it was more than just advertising, right? We came to them with a real solution, right? And they were open to that. These clients were open to it. They came to us first with the solution. We realized that wasn't going to work, and we came back with a solution that was actually a game-changing solution for them. So in turn, what we did for them was create a whole new product category. They've now moved into tennis, and they're tracking all their tennis. They're now working on a football and baseball, right? And so most recently, this thing, the Wilson X Connects Basketball, just recently won a Webby's People's Choice Award. It won 2 gold pencils at the One Show, one for UX and UI innovation, and one for best mobile consumer app. And it's one of the products that the clients loving. Everyone's talking about it on their end. They want to hang their hat on this product. They did. The whole new product category. Everyone at the agency is loving it, motivated, and wanting to work more on it. And so this case in point was, the point I'm trying to make with this is go to your agencies with the problem and not the solution. You'd be surprised sometimes if you just open up and tell them exactly what it is. What the problem is to increase sales, increase awareness, whatever it is. Be honest with them. Don't come to them and tell them, I want a TV ad, or I want a print ad, or a KV that does X. Come to them with the real problem. Let them come back to you with a solution. Right. So the next thing is to own the brief. And this one is a big one for me. It all starts with the brief. Again, this is pretty basic, but all too often what happens is a client will come and they'll brief us. They expect us to walk away and then come back with the first round of work. There's no alignment, there's no conversations that happen between sometimes, and they're missing a key vital step. The development of that creative brief is the initial start of the creative process, right? It takes time and effort. The client needs to make sure that they're aligned on all the inputs, right? Whether it's the objectives, who you're talking to, what you need to say, right? Because ultimately, the agency will walk away. They take all these inputs from the client, and as they create their own creative brief, this is what we use from the agency side, as many of you know, to judge and review our work, right? And if the client is not aligned on this, right, they're reviewing something off a different sheet of music, right? And most importantly with this, though, is not only your direct client. If you're working directly with the agency, you shouldn't be the only one that's just aligning on this brief. You should also make sure that your internal stakeholders, anybody who has involvement in the project, anybody who has a say in the final outcome of the project, should also align with this brief. Right. So, to me, this is the second point, is owning the brief. Okay? The third is just being open and forthright. Just be open with your agency. You hire them for a reason. You hire them to come up with creative solutions to your business problems, right? Your agency is on the same team as you, right? All too often, I've seen where clients will come in and they think they will give you the right amount of information for you to go off and do your work, and they're not revealing certain things. Some of the big things right off the bat is, what is the real budget, right? They'll come to you and say, I want X, and they won't tell you what the budget is. They say, just come back to me and just give me something big, right? There's nothing more demotivating for a creative team than to go big, only to be told that this is not within our range. Can you scale it down a bit, right? At the end of the day, the teams, even though we're getting paid to work for you, you want to keep them motivated. At the end of the day, you want more than that team to want to work for you. You want the whole agency to say, that client, I want every single project that comes through, I want to work on that group, right? So be transparent, be upfront with them. We're on the same team. Too much information is okay, right? Let the agency figure it out and sort it out. We'll work it through the brief, and then we'll align on what the right inputs are. Fourth is communicate in a constructive and collaborative way, right? One of the things I always say is, you attract more bees with honey than vinegar. As a client, or you're reviewing work, it's really easy to just look at something and say that's not right, or I don't like it because X, Y, and Z, as opposed to just sitting there and just really thoughtfully identifying what works about it first, right? And it's not the same as saying, I like it, but, or I like it, however, right? That's really vague. You give some constructive feedback, tell the agency what's actually working about it, right? That will go a long way. And along with this is just how you communicate, right? Sending an email, right, off to your agency team sometimes isn't the best way because, as you know, tonality is lost when you send an email. Sometimes just pick up the phone, talk to your agency contact. If it calls for it, ask for a face-to-face. So those are really key things for me. And last, not least, is give credit where credit is due. We work on hundreds of projects every year for clients, and I think I can count on a handful of times where the clients actually sincerely call you up and say, you know what, I know that your team's burnt the candles from both ends, went to bat for our team and just working weekends, even though it was a holiday, but they never say thank you, or they never just give that piece of gratitude. It's a really big deal for the agency to hear, right? Even if it's not even, if you don't like it as a client, but someone else on your team is acknowledging the hard work and liking the hard work, the agency really appreciates, the creators really appreciate to hear that, they've done a good job. That the clients recognize that hard work and effort has gone through, all the way to the end. Right? So just to quickly recap, 5 tips. Brief the problem, not the solution. Own the brief. Be open and forthright. Communicate in a collaborative and constructive way, and give credit where credit's due. All right.